Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us in another episode of Project Cast, where Ryan and I talk about all sorts of things. Today, I have a question for Ryan about his business and how he thinks about clients. So, on my podcast, I have a podcast, People in Sales, Not Salespeople. I was talking to a IT business professional, and he actually mentioned that he tells people no. He tells potential clients no more than yes. People who actually want to work with him, he says, no, you're not ready for this, and reason. So he kind of disqualifies more than he qualifies. So I wanted to ask you, in your world, has there ever been a situation where you wish you hadn't closed the client and you wish you did sort of take that mentality of disqualifying, saying no more than yes?
Yeah, all the time. I'm a sucker for taking on challenges and trying to have rocket ship growth. But I know that sometimes it can be really hard to service clients that might not have the right expectation or the right setup yet. So it is a consistent challenge for us to figure out who we should say no to versus who we should say yes.
Has there been situations where you did say no to a client coming in and they were ready to buy, they wanted to give you money, and you were like, no, isn't it? Because I know it's hard.
Oh my gosh, his name is leaving me right now, but the CEO of Virgin Airlines, what's his name? He's got a space company as well, Richard Branson. He would
Okay.
always say, if there's an opportunity that presents itself to you, say yes and figure out how to do it later. And it
Hmm.
was something I really did cling on to early on as I was learning what our limits were. But as time goes on, I think what we do is we like disqualify and setting the expectation on some hard lines for us that we won't commit to in an agreement. And the most drastic example I can give is actually one I talk about in Trust Call, which is where there was somebody who came to us that wanted us to call liquor stores. They had this new alcohol and they want us to call liquor stores and have 10 different people on our team call the liquor store to request if they had any more of new alcohol in stock to create a false demand so that the store clerk and store owner were like, oh man, I guess this is the new hot thing people want. So we should
Yeah.
probably order some. We said no to that, you
Hmm.
know, and because it went against our philosophy. We couldn't honestly, and he was ready to pay us thousands of dollars. He's like, I'll drop it to you right now. And we just couldn't.
That's no integrity in that, no sales. That's not right.
This thing is like the whole idea behind H2H is to build trust, isn't it?
Mm,
Trust in three parties. One is the person, the product, and the process. We weren't trying to be slimy as people. The product might have been good. I mean, who knows? It wasn't necessarily proved to be a bad product, but the process was awful.
yeah, yeah.
We just couldn't do it. So there's one.
The third question I had here was, have you ever had to fire a client? Sometimes there's clients where things aren't working out. They're not putting in as much as normal or typical of a client, or just something, and you had to say, hey, this just isn't working out.
In our industry, we come across a lot of abrasion in identifying what the right expectation is and who is responsible for what, because we work with so many variables. Now, if you set those expectations up early, you really, really put yourself in a good position to go back to those things that were expected early on. And we've gotten better and better at that. But to answer your question, it's been really tough because a lot of times they'll want to cancel at that point at some time anyway. And we've really built up a high tolerance for kind of some volatility. We work in a very
Hmm.
volatile market. So many times it's them quitting, but we might try to encourage that, hey, we recommend you put in your cancellation. But only up until this year did we put in the option in our agreements to give us an out in the agreement. Any party can cancel at any time. I don't know if we've actually had to say this contract is canceled, but we've gotten our clients to put in that cancellation or we've done it
Yeah.
for them.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
And when it comes to sales and booking meetings and the organization you guys do, it's an important one. It's one that, if you do have a good process, can work, but it does require both parties to put in time, effort, and energy.
It's a service partnership, way more than it is a product offering or a service offering. It's a service partnership. The example I give a lot of times to folks is like we need stuff from them. We aren't experts in their product and we
Hmm.
aren't experts in their offering or even their market a lot of times. We're experts in asking the right questions and identify what those things are and then coming up with strategies and messaging to help reach that market and generate interest. The lesson really is how well can we communicate that prior to getting started so that they know what to expect to build a really good relationship together.
You sort of answered this with your answer there, but what would it take for a client to be a good partner? What does it take for them to be successful and for them to get the most out of it?
There's a lot of variables. I mean, the first thing that I think can put you in a much better position than a lot of, no matter what other things you have in place, is whether you have an offering that resonates. We've talked about that a lot in our project cast and in other situations, but if your offering resonates and people want it, and we're on the phones and we can translate and be a conduit to that resonance through our messaging and our team, then you have a lot of positive energy to work with. You have leads, you have appointments, you have people who want to talk to you, you have proposals, you have sales. That's the engine of the business. So the other things can fall in place. But
Hmm.
more specifically, if you already have that, or if you have something that has some relevance to it or resonance, then it comes to the design of your team. Do you have someone who's competent in sales to take those meetings, connect with them on LinkedIn, do the proper follow up, and close those deals to make worth your ROI? Or do you have those people and processes in place to handle that going forward so it's sustainable, right?
Because they
So
got to be able
offering
to
rest
close them.
and then good sales process would probably be the two primary variables that you need to have in place to have a really good partnership set up.
Does that make sense? Well, that was good. Tons more just questions brewing in my mind around feedback loop and if AEs inform you all of how their meetings are going, or if you guys inform, like, what's that feedback loop there? I'm always interested in how you connect
So
that.
we have to be careful as an outsourced SDR firm to leak into other services we shouldn't be in business doing. Full stop. It would be a completely different business to get into all other sorts of parts of the process to help them. But then we just end up doing their company for them. The clearer that we can be in our limits of what we do, the stronger
Hmm.
our message and our service gets.
Hmm.
So when someone says, "Oh, well, we're a full service company, we can do it all for you, whatever you want, we'll generate leads and appointments and sales for you," I would say that's probably one of the most dangerous companies to be involved with because then you essentially are just passing over your company to someone else who doesn't really know how it works with you as the product expert. And they're
Right.
diluting their impact by trying to do everything. They're
Not
trying
to
to do
work.
everything for everyone. So that's tough. So, for instance, I'll give you a good example for us. So, we set up a meeting with somebody. The client goes to two or three, four meetings. They don't close any deals. They're upset. Hey, we're going to cancel. These people aren't buying. This isn't working. Oh, well, how about we sit on these calls with you and we give you sales consulting? Actually, how about we do those sales calls for you? And then we start to put our energy and resources into things that aren't our super strength, which is
Hmm.
setting meetings and quality meetings. So the only thing I would do is say, okay, well, what are the things we're doing? What are ways that we can make our cold calls better to set you up for success?
And that's it. You're standing your lane, which is important.
Yeah, people might disagree with me on that, but what ends up happening is I stop my focus on how good my cold calling is and I start focusing on their sales pitch. Now I'm becoming a sales training company who's trying to close deals and a cold call company. That's not feasible if you're trying to be the best outsourced cold call company.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's hard.
Now, that was good. Thank you all for joining the project cast. Hope you got a little something out of it. And don't forget to follow Ryan and I on LinkedIn and get the latest tidbits of what we're working on together. Artificial intelligence tool to help you generate cold call scripts and help guide you through these cold calls in real time. So stay tuned for more.